Hello, everyone. This is Lev. Hi, this is me. We will start. And today, the goal of our webinar is to tell you about the new generation of client applications which we have developed and released recently for Windows. It is called, you see the slides, it is called TrueConf 7.3. This is a new generation of client applications that we have been developing for recent 2 years, and we're going to replace our old classic, we call this legacy application classic one, very soon. As you might know, we have two versions of our client application for Windows. Our classic application, let me show you. The current version is 6.5.9, which comes along TrueConf Server 4.39, the last version of TrueConf Server, will be retired very soon in autumn. So the classic application wouldn't be recommended as a default application anymore. We will continue to support it. We will continue to provide support for users which use the classic application, but we asking you to promote and to use the new version, the new application, about which I will tell you today. So the new version has a new name. We simply decided to call it the new app, so new application and the classic application. So I will tell you about the new application. So I'm currently using the application 7.3.1, which is available on our website. You can download it directly from TrueConf website right away. So the big difference between the previous approach, the previous application, and the new one, it is something we call universal access. That means that you can use the new application with your own server. You can connect it to some third-party server, or you can connect the same application to the cloud. We have a cloud service which is called TrueConf Online. You can use it as a free infrastructure for conferencing as well. So the single application for all servers and TrueConf Cloud. Before that, we had two different applications. The 6.5 application had two different versions, the one for the server customers and the one for cloud subscribers, for cloud users. So there wouldn't be such split anymore, no split, just a single application for both kinds of deployments. As I said, the new application, this one, will be the default application, default recommendation for your users. Starting from the release of TrueConf Server 4.4, which are going to be released quite soon. We finished the development process of 4.4. Currently, we are working on documentation and localization, so I am expecting it to be released before the August, maybe in the beginning of August, so very soon. The new version will have a lot of new features, but we will cover the new version of our server in our next webinar. And today we will focus on the new client application, which is already available. So first of all, Windows version, macOS version for Macintosh, for MacBooks, and Linux version will be the same application. So it will be the cross-platform application with the same user experience, the same feature set, and the same UI across all desktop platforms. So we support Windows, macOS, and Linux. You can see that the Windows version is already released, and version for macOS is almost done. Some small things are left, so we're going to release it in very soon, probably even in July. And the Linux version is scheduled for release for September. So in autumn, all set of desktop applications will be updated for the new version. So the important feature about the new application is a different approach for user interface. So most of you get used to the classic application. So the new version might be very new for your users. So they might ask you why to update. So you have to learn how to tell them why the new version is better. So first of all, why the new version is better? We build it from the ground as a new application based on new technologies, which will help us to support this solution further for many years to come. So as you might know, the previous application was built upon technology called Delphi, which is not cross-platform, which is very old and not really flexible, and it is very difficult to develop for. So the new application is based on new technologies, so you can be sure that the support for the new version will be much longer, and the same experience will be across all platforms. And there's something more. Let me show you. It is resizable, so I can make any size of the application. The multi-point conference inside this window will be resized, and your personal layout of the conference or point-to-point call will be updated as well automatically, immediately. This new version also plays nicely with high DPI screen. It is not something unique. Many users now have 4K monitors or 4K screens in their conferencing room, so we can play nicely with new application with a scaled interface of Windows or scaled interface of macOS. So if you change the DPI settings on your screen, the new application will support them out from the box. Nothing special is required. Another important feature besides the support of high DPI and resizable window is that we are trying to put all the conferencing experience and collaboration experience inside a single window. So there is no more floating windows for slide deck. There is no more floating windows for instant messaging. No more floating windows for conference creation dialog. So everything within single window, which is makes a huge difference for quality of experience. It also makes application very easier to support. Additional windows will never fall behind your focus. Very easy to control this new single application instead compared to the previous solution or some other solutions available on the market where you have many different windows all the way scattered across your desktop, which I find very useless. So now we have the special we call side panel. This is a side panel. You see it on the right. Inside the side panel, we have 4 tabs. The first tab is dedicated for your address book. The second tab is dedicated for conference creation, scheduling, and control. I can create conference in a single click. I will show you this feature later. The third tab is for chat sessions you have right now or you had before. It's kind of history of your collaboration is the third tab of chat. And the fourth one is for all your actions. You can see whom you have called or who called you, which conferences you have participated in or which conferences you have created. You can use any entry here as a kind of template, so you can call someone back or create the same conference easily from your history. You see everything here, the participants you have invited into the conference, not only people you called directly. So that's very important tab here as well. And again, we can disable side panel any moment. Another thing is the full screen mode. So you can go to the full screen mode by going to by right clicking on your video or by pressing F11, like in browser. You go F11, and we save in the full screen mode the user interface. So that makes possible to use the new application on in your conference room You just switch it to be in the full screen mode. We can force the application to stay in the full screen mode all the time with a special key, which you can use to start application with. Special parameter, startup parameter, which forces the application to be in the full screen mode. And you can still manage conference, see your participants, use chat, whatever you have, in a single application, which is very useful for touch screen. So if you have an interactive panel in your conference room, you can switch our application to the full screen mode and do everything within the single application window in the full screen mode, which is quite useful. So I press F11 to exit this mode. We have updated the settings. Now you have all settings within the single window. Let me show you. This is the settings window. First of all, now you can see the statistics in the settings. We call this system info. So you can see the number of participants. You can see the bandwidth from participants you receive from the server. You can see your own parameters, some settings our technical support team might ask you to have for ease to interact with our technical support team more easily. We decided to create two special buttons. The first one, save to file, which creates a snapshot of your configuration, and another is copy to the clipboard, which is also do the same thing. It's just a text output which you can paste to the request to the ticket to our technical support team. So you don't need to manually copy and paste or input the version of application, which camera you have, which CPU you have. You just need to copy to the clipboard and send this information to our technical support team, or you might ask your users to provide the same information to you if you need to troubleshoot some issues your users might have. Okay, so the first section of the settings is dedicated to hardware devices we have. Here you can select the camera, microphone, playback, audio device. It is also possible to select different devices for conferencing audio playback and for application audio playback. For example, in your conferencing room, you'd like the audio from remote participants to come through the speakerphone, but some ring sound or some other system sounds to go through another audio devices you have in your room. For this, we have special settings where you can select the playback device for audio from the application. We also added some additional settings like extended frame rate, which affects your self view, and which also affects the frame rate we can capture from the camera. So if you have new cameras, for example, from Logitech, 930, 922, or the PTZ-camera, so we can have higher frame rate from those cameras into point-to-point calls. We also have a new feature for branding of the conferencing experience, which basically replaces the background. I will show you this later. The second section of the settings is dedicated for network settings. So you can see that you can choose now between our cloud service and the server your company have, and the big difference here is that the application remember the authentication data you have used to connect to different servers. So when you change the server, you don't need to authenticate again. We remember everything, so you can connect. You can switch servers really faster than before. You just select it from here, and that's it. So now I have two servers here, and the team is our local server for communication inside the company, and the server we are usually using for presentation purposes and for webinars. So I can connect to the team server easily. So I'm connected. You can see our team here, and I can go back to the presentation server. I was authenticated immediately. This is quite fast. Now we can select As before, we can select limits for bandwidth, but there is something new. The version of our server 4.3.9 provided a new feature for file transfer. Now users can decide and set the limit for file transfer. Our file transfer is really complicated thing, because when we need to transfer huge file during the conference or out of the conference, we don't have to affect the quality of the conference. We can't affect the quality of other participants of the server. We can't affect other users of the server. So we implemented a torrent protocol, which is peer-to-peer protocol, to efficiently deliver files you transfer, not just between the client application and the server, but also between endpoints, between users, between their client applications. So when you transfer files, it don't affect bandwidth on the server usually. So it don't affect the quality of the conference. That's important thing. Okay, we have a test for connection quality. As before, there is nothing new. Yeah, you can see the details like before. And we have preferences. All preferences remain the same. We specially created the special section where you can select your default layout, which you prefer. And there is something new, because the new application can control PTZ cameras. So you can decide who can control your camera, like everyone, nobody, or the remote participant have to ask you permission every time to control your camera. Next thing is connected with a multi-point conferencing experience. So let me show you how it works. First of all, I will create a conference. I go to the multi-point conference control panel, the tab, click on the create button. I'm inside the conference. You can see that I don't have any incoming streams, so I will invite some users inside. That's pretty easy, and we can see from the info panel that we are in the conference. We have 3 incoming video streams. Okay, so Danila and Leona to join, and I will enable my speakerphone to show you this feature. Danila, please reply. Okay. Hello, guys. So when you tell something, you are highlighted. So Leona, please say something.
Hello to everyone.
So you can see in the right bottom corner of Leona window. So the level of microphone input from here. Leona, can you say something again? You see?
Say something again. Okay.
Yeah, you can see the microphone level in the right corner. We also highlight the video window of that participant with the blue magenta color. It changes the color all the time, so it's kind of gradient. And there is something more. When we have all users the same size, we only highlight who is speaking. So when you have 3 people, you know them, it's not a problem. But imagine you have a conference with, let's say, 30 visible people on the screen. So it is very difficult to remember the voice of every participant, especially if you never met them before. So the highlighting of active speaker is very important thing, which really helps you to understand who is speaking. And this thing is full duplex. So if I ask Danilo to chat, he will be highlighted as well. Danilo, please say something too. Yeah, you see that both users are highlighted because they're speaking. So when I go to the priority mode, we call the priority mode is when someone is big and all other participants are smaller. Currently, we have overlay layout here, so I'm big and all other participants are smaller. Before this new, in the previous version of our client application, you have to manually select the participant you'd like to see in higher resolution in a larger video window. So you have to drag and drop do it in this way. Now you don't have to do so. So the only thing you have to make is to switch to active speaker mode. So when someone, let's say I will make myself bigger. So when someone will start to speak, he will become bigger. So I will disable my microphone, not to affect this demo, and I will ask to Leona and to Danila to speak to each other. Okay, let's go.
Now I'm a big one.
Okay, so you can see that Leona is speaking, he's a bigger. When Danila starts to speak, he makes his video bigger too. So that's happens automatically. I don't click anywhere, so the layout is updated automatically. Another important thing is one click to share anything. Before we had different collaboration tools to share the content. We have a special tool to demonstrate slides. We had a special tool to demonstrate desktop, and we have a feature which can replace your camera with your desktop. So 3 different ways to share your content, which were quite difficult. So now it is possible to use just a single button to share any content you have. No more slides, no more desktop share thing, just a single button for everything. And another important thing, now you can control what you are capturing, and you can stop the capturing any moment. You don't have to return to our application to stop the process of capturing of your content, because now you have the floating control window for your content. So I will show you. I will ask Danila to assist me. So I will invite him to the podium. I have created a conference. I have invited some bots to help me. So now I can click the single button. It is left to the hand gap button. I click here. Oh, it's not a single click because I have multiple screens. So I have to select which screen I have to capture from. I will select the first screen. Or maybe I select the second one. That will be the second screen. Okay, so now I'm capturing my screen. You can see the floating control. So now you see 2 participants on your screens, my desktop and Danila's desktop here. And I will replace. And I clicked content sharing button. So now we see, you can see that on my side, I'm sharing the content. Let me open something. Okay, just a window. You can see the floating control panel. And on Danila's side, Danila, can you make the screen larger on your side, just to make the full screen of the application? So you can see that he is receiving my content stream with my video inside it. So instead of control panel, he is seeing my video. I can disable my camera to make it smaller, and I can decide whether I want to deliver my video inside the content, or I can switch to a separate video stream so I can deliver my video and my content simultaneously, kind of dual videos. We introduced the support for far-end and local controls for PTZ cameras. So I will switch my application to a PTZ camera. I have a very nice PTZ camera from Ava. So now I have in the lower left corner of our application the camera control panel. So now I can use it to or use my arrow keys or use this panel to control the camera. So by clicking or by pressing keyboard, I can control the camera. So I'm not in the call. I'm controlling the camera locally. but it is also possible for remote participant to control my camera as well. So I will ask Danilo to help me again. I will invite him to the podium. Please switch to the full screen mode and ask before you request the control for my camera. Yes, can you please request the control? You see that I have received the request for camera control because in the settings, I don't allow everyone to control my camera. I always have the settings which requires me to approve every request. So I say yes, and now Danilo have the camera control interface in his window in his application, which he can use to control my camera. So you see the special panel which you can use to control the camera. It also works with the protocols which is used for legacy room systems camera control, which is FECC, another protocol which is used in free-to-free devices for camera control. I don't remember what it stands for, but we also support the camera for camera control over free-to-free connections as well. So you can use the same interface for UVC cameras, Vista cameras, legacy equipment in your conferencing rooms, or just with USB cameras like we did today. In the application now, it is possible to make a recording. So I imagine I have created a conference. I go to the conference tab on the right side. And now I can start the recording by clicking on the recording collaboration tool icon. So recordings are saved in the format you specify in the settings. So if I go to the preferences, I can decide which format to use for recording. We support different containers, AVI, MKV, and MP4, and different resolution for the recording. So you basically have to click the red button to start the recording. That's quite easy. So I record the conference right now. When I stop it, I can access it and play it back. So that's quite simple. You can choose, for example, the MKV format, which makes possible to play back the recording on the go. So while recording is still active, you can play it back if you choose the MKV, the container for the video. The next feature of the application is NTLM authentication. So in many organizations, you have Active Directory or some other LDAP-based user catalogs, which you can use for management of user base and management of which services, which tools your users can connect to. So the TrueConf Server and our video conferencing application is just another service which you can provide for your users. So you don't have to create separate accounts. You don't have to create special accounts for our system. You can use accounts you already have in your Active Directory. So you can even go further and enable NTLM authentication that makes possible for your users to automatically connect to your video conferencing service based on our solution when they authenticate in Windows, when they go to their desktop machine, when they sign into the desktop and start their session. Our application can sign in simultaneously as well and connect to your server. So there is no need for them to enter their credentials for when they start using conferencing application. It can happen automatically. We also support the technology called OAuth, which provide access to API of the server, which can be used to create special links to authenticate users without Active Directory. So you can use this OAuth approach to authenticate your users automatically in whatever system you have. So we support two strategies for single sign-on Active Directory with NTLM and OAuth. So if you need more details, please contact our technical support team for more details. Another funny feature, it looks funny, but actually it is very helpful, which helps you to brand, to create some branding for your conferences. So in hardware settings, now it is possible to choose the background. I will choose the TrueConf background here. So I have replaced the background with a custom picture, the image which is branded with our logo. Here's my speakerphone. So you can see that if you have a speakerphone and you have some monocolor, so the single color wallpaper or background or your office wall, which is colored to some not natural, but some color which is not close to the tone of your skin. So any color is okay unless it looks like your skin. So we recommend to use the blue backgrounds like I have here, or green or magenta background, or red background is also fine, which helps, which can be a little bit with some gradient. It shouldn't be the very, the background shouldn't be very nice. It could be any background, but it should be approximately the same color. So like I have behind me. So it is not the very nice background. It's just the banner. But our application can see and understand where the speaker is, and it uses some intelligence to decide with the speaker to make the cut nicely. So it don't cut my hands, it don't cut my garment, it only cuts the background. And we can do funny things with this replacing background replacement feature. So you can work from the beach, for example. But the idea is not for to impress. The idea is not to impress your users with these funny things, but the idea is to create additional branding opportunities, to create something different from others. You can put some promo information, you can put your logotype on the background, so you can use it as a marketing tool. Yeah, plain color, any plain color which is different to your skin tone is okay. So we recommend to use green or blue backgrounds. You don't need to specify the background color. We detect the background color automatically. Let me show you another example from the football we had yesterday. So just I'm inside the Luzhniki Stadium right now, which is also quite funny. Conference history. So on the fourth tab, we have in the side panel, you see that I have the history of all calls I make during this webinar and conferences I have created. So I can replay them. I can call back any conference, and if the conference is still active, I will join it. Or if it is not, I will connect immediately to the owner of that conference. So if the application asks you what you'd like to do, so you can see all information in the history. We're also going to introduce something more to this history panel very soon in the new release of our server. You will be able to use templates. Templates is a new feature which will become available soon in the TrueConf Server 4.4 in the new release, and you will be able to recreate the conferences easily. My colleague told me that I didn't show you the dial pad. So in every client application, in new version, like in the previous one, we have a dial pad. So if you have telephony service or local PBX connected to our server, you can dial out users, or you can invite telephony users to the conference using this interface as well. And another thing is reactions. So I will create a conference again. In Participants tab, we have a special button called Reactions. So when I open Reactions, I will move my application a little bit to show you. We have reactions here, so I can vote, for example, yes or no, or provide some emotional feedback like I have here. Okay, let me replace my people with real people. Danilo, Leona, please join the conference, but please mute your microphones. You can also see that the application automatically adjusts the layout to the window size you have. So in reactions, you can see how people react in the participant tab. So it is Leona and Danilo, can you please vote yes, for example? You can see that user B, user C, and me and user B voted yes. Now I can see the distribution of votes in the reaction panel. I can, as a host, I can play reactions or vote again. So it's kind of basic polling, basic voting system you can use to collect feedback from your audience inside our application. That's it. Again, I will remind you that the new version is already released. It is available on our website, and the versions for Mac and for Linux are coming very soon. If you have any questions or you'd like to get to the podium to ask a question, just let me know in chat. TCP, VP ports. Okay. Okay, thank you for the questions. First of all our client applications of TrueConf use only one TCP port. So we use this port, TCP 4307 for everything, for video, for audio, and for the content you share. Sometimes when you share slides, we also request TCP 80 from your client application to the server. So in most cases, the 4307 is enough, but if you'd like to cover all available ports, you need two ports, 4307 and 80, between client application and the server. If you need to connect WebRTC users or legacy conferencing room equipment, of course, or telephony, there will be another ports in use between those systems and our server. But between our server and our client applications, only these two ports are used. The same for multi-point calls is true. Only one port is used. The second question was when it will be possible for different layouts in the recording. So it is already possible. For example, let me show you. You can see that currently in WebRTC session you are watching, we have two videos, my and Daniel's. So I can make someone bigger by double-clicking on the participant. I can also change the layout by switching the priority window. So this WebRTC control for layout is also applied to the recordings. So when you change the layout as a moderator of the call in WebRTC, this layout is also applied for server-side recording, for WebRTC users, for legacy equipment connected to the same call, let's say Polycom or Cisco endpoint, so you can control the layout as well using this technique. So it also applies the new layout to the streaming. So if we have streaming enabled for a specific conference, we can use WebRTC control to change layout in the streaming as well. And in client applications, it happens the same way. It works the same way like before. So when you change layout, when you change the layout in the application, it also applies to the recording on the local side. Thank you, guys. See you in September when we release the new version of our server in our next webinar. And have a nice day. And thank you for joining us today. Thank you, guys. Goodbye, everyone.